Okay, we are live.
All right, let's get this meeting rolling. Welcome everyone to the Milburn School District 24 Board of Education regular school board meeting on March 21st. Can we have a roll call?
Yes. Ms. Boss?
Present.
Mr. Coleman?
Present.
Mr. Gray is absent. Mr. Lorenzen?
Here.
Mr. Murphy?
Here.
Mr. Pederini?
Here.
And Ms. Roberts is absent at this time.
We stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do you have any public comments? Does anyone have any addition non-action items? Action items. To approve the reading of the board policies for review as listed below.
I have some comments here, one of which I would like to pull, maybe possibly two, just for consideration, maybe redrafting how it's worded, and then another one just a point of clarification. So if we look at 2.110.
Okay.
And in specific, it talks about the role of secretary. I would say that we haven't been operating consistent with the verbiage. And so I think it should change. So if we just look at the secretary. There's secretary and recording secretary. So keeps minutes for all board meetings and keep the verbatim record. It's really, that's a role that the secretary hasn't been performing in, right? Of keeping all verbatim records and keeping minutes. So maybe we should look at how we want to title this section. And just going below that, there's a section for recording, the role of recording secretary. Yep, there we go. So really, if you look at these responsibilities, they're kind of reversed. So historically, we haven't been operating consistent with what's reflected here. So I might suggest that we pull this, really take a look at it, maybe change up the title, or move down some of the responsibilities. Okay. The next is 5.10. So the updated policy. This is about the equal employment opportunity, and there are a whole list of things, just right up at the top there, Jason. There's a whole list of things. Some of these things are required by law, some of them are not required by law. We had looked at this in the past and identified what was required and what is not required. What I would ask here is that our attorneys look at this list and identify what is required by law and what is not.
Okay.
Does anyone have any objections with either of those?
No.
What was the third one you wanted to?
There's a third one, and it's really just for common understanding. So 5.30, hiring process and criteria. I think it's implied in the verbiage, but as we go through, so it just to summarize, it describes the hiring process, and then there's a section there, investigation, okay? And It talks about there being a candidate that's been identified by the board. Then it goes to these background investigations. It says that the results of these investigations would be reported to the board president, and then the board president subsequently identifies that applicant that their name has come up in violation of either of these, okay? It doesn't then identify specifically that the board would be notified of this. So I think due to the process, it does say any other person necessary to the hiring decision. And I would say that would be us and the board. So I just either, if everyone can come to a common understanding, that would include the board, that we would be notified of this from the board president, then I think the verbiage is fine. If there is some other question, then I think maybe the board needs to be named specifically and then vote on that, whether we would adopt that. It doesn't explicitly state that the board is notified of the results. Which I think it would be very difficult to say, yeah, we absolutely endorse this person, not knowing whether in fact they're in violation of either of these or come up flagged on either of those key investigations.
Usually when we approve the hiring, it's usually contingent on successful
that, right?
completion of
Of those two.
Yeah.
That's right, yeah, so that's like the final step.
Yeah.
This, the way the sequence laid out here says that the board basically recommends someone, then it goes to the investigations.
Right.
And then it says the board president is notified of these things, and then you would need to notify that candidate that they were flagged on those. Now, if we're in common agreement that we are one of those persons required for the hiring process, then I think it's fine.
And we do give the prospective employee a copy of their
That's right.
report, and if they have, if there's something there that's not correct or whatever, then, you know, they can take it, they can get it cleared up.
That's right. Right, and that's understood, so that's in there,
Okay.
that they can be notified, but it doesn't specifically state that the board will be notified.
Would it be a privacy violation maybe?
The board president can know.
I'm saying that maybe.
And it says in any other person's, if you look about 2/3 down in that paragraph, any other person necessary to the hiring decision. My thoughts are that should be implying us within the board, right? But what I don't want to do is, if we're not in agreement, that's us. Either call it out specifically and then vote on it, or if we're in agreement, then leave it as is.
I think this is only for hiring a superintendent
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
in this paragraph.
Mm-hmm.
So it wouldn't be for other employees here.
Right, that's for superintendent, but that is our responsibility, right? Hiring the superintendent, the board is.
Right.
So it looks like here, we don't recommend, really, we approve the hiring of people contingent on a background check. And then if the background check comes back with something flagged, it goes to the superintendent, who shares it, can only share it with the regional superintendent, state superintendent, et cetera, and any other person necessary to the hiring decision. So, I mean, we don't even necessarily have to see that, because if it was flagged and then the hiring was rescinded, we wouldn't have to actually see it.
Is it rescinded? Absolutely. Do we know that? So that sentence that you're reading, the school code requires the board president to keep a conviction record confidential and share it only with the superintendent, regional superintendent, state education preparation and licensure board, any other person necessary to the hiring decision. My question is is that inclusive of the board? My thought is that it should be inclusive of the board. That's our job. And you would think, that's what I want to know is, does everyone have that same understanding here? And if not,
Do you want to just delineate instead of saying, just include the school board?
Include the school board.
And
I
then
think-
still have any other person
Yeah.
necessary?
yeah.
Cause it doesn't specify, it's,
It
you
doesn't
could tell
specify.
whoever he wants.
And I would rather, if we're updating the policy, address it at this point than long farther down the line when we have a decision to make and it'll be split over whether it does make sense to everyone. So if we can add the board, that'd be good. So I'd say those three. So if we could pull those, vote for all the others, I didn't find anything really material in the others. From my perspective.
Anybody else wanna pull anything else? So if you make a motion to that effect?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the listed board policies with the exception of 2-110, 5-10, and 5-30.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. Approval of amended salary rate sheet for the 2021-2022 school year.
So we've addressed these at different times.
Yep.
Thoroughly. I don't have any questions.
Yeah, the only suggestion I have, and it wasn't something I noticed till this morning, and by that point in time Veronica was on vacation. The coordinator of business services is listed under hourly and should be listed under salary.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I saw the different wage structure there, yeah.
I think I did that because the previous, what that position was before was an hourly position, like 3 years ago. And haven't gotten updated.
If we go 60,000 an hour, we're gonna be
Yeah, that would be a great.
real competitive.
Should we have to hire somebody really qualified? Does anybody have any questions or comments on this?
No, I'd like to make a motion to approve the amended salary rate sheet for 2021, 2022.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Gregg,
Yes.
Mr. Lorenzen,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Federini,
Yes.
Ms. Roberts,
Yes.
Ms. Boss.
Yes.
Motion passes. Approval,
Hang on just a second. You gotta slow down for me.
Gotta keep up there.
Not used to this. Stephen,
You called me first.
firsted.
Oh, I made the motion,
Who
yeah.
made the motion? Who said that? And John seconded.
John seconded.
And Sean made the motion, and who seconded the last motion?
Vanessa.
Vanessa.
One.
Thank you.
Did you call Brendan on the roll call?
Yep. I did. Okay. Good.
approval of the COVID medication changes.
Okay, so we need, I wrote about this a little bit in our board notes. We would like to reduce the current requirement of 3 feet and 6 feet. So in the classrooms, we have 3 foot social distancing measures, and in the lunchroom, 6 foot. And it doesn't mean we're going to all of a sudden change that, but there are certain circumstances where we'd like to change the lunchroom, especially at the middle school, to give us a little bit more space in the spring. Now we have some performances coming up. It'd be nice to get everybody in one room. It's easier for supervision. And for classrooms to do some small group learning so kids can huddle up a little easier, and change some seating in classrooms, give a little bit more flexibility with seating. Elementary is probably going to stay with the 6 foot distancing in lunch just because it is working out so well, and younger children need that structure and have that structure and that routine, and to switch it now would be more work than it's probably the advantage to it at this point, but at least we would have the option. So my recommendation is to change to eliminate the social distancing requirements, and that would cover all of those scenarios, but I wanted to give everybody kind of an idea of what that would mean.
So we would eliminate them and put them at the discretion of the superintendent or principal or staff, essentially.
Staff, yep. The other thing it would do is allow lockers at the middle school. Yeah, no,
We currently allow lockers, but on a structured basis.
different locker.
So we started the year without allowing lockers, and then we got some feedback, and we got some ways that we could include lockers as part of the day, so kids could keep their coats and their sports bag in the lockers, and their lunches in the lockers, and that kind of helped. It's actually been really nice having the kids with their backpacks, because they have all of their belongings. So from a teaching perspective, what our teachers find is that there's fewer reasons to leave the room, more time on task.
And they also weigh like 10,000.
They do.
I like
Makes them
carried my son
strong,
home
yeah.
today, I got him halfway, and I'm like, buddy, this thing is like, it's heavy.
So it would change snacks too at the elementary, be less structured with snack time. And then the sharing of materials would allow us to change our sharing practices. We're not going to do everything all at once or change everything, but so we don't have to keep coming back as we go through to the end of the, anticipating changes at the end of the year that we might want to do. These are it. Allowing visitors to be on masks as well, and social distancing. I think they're already allowed to be on masks, but we should probably change that officially.
Our parents or families are coming in for different kind of events, classroom stuff.
Yeah, it's been pretty limited this year, but most of our volunteers have been in the cafeteria. But definitely teachers have been asking for volunteers to come in.
Yeah. Well, and like performances.
So performances right now, at least at the elementary, I know that Mr. Boyd's been recording concerts. And so he's gonna maintain that this year just because other grade levels
Yeah.
performances,
Mhm.
and then we get into like, wait a second.
Yeah.
But I know Dayton is excited.
What about doing field trips and stuff, is there any thought, probably just wait until next year?
No, actually, we started looking at field trips already. So our fifth graders went to Woodstock back in January, and did Challenger Learning Center. And so there's been some requests, not as much as this year that we had a lot of in-house field trips.
Mm-hmm.
They'll come in here, but just a handful of ones that have ventured out. We've been able to keep the distance happening.
The busing then, cause that would be the sticking point, would be the busing.
Busing, we just kind of,
Pick up and drop off time.
yeah, but social distancing on the bus, we've never been able to maintain a 3 feet distance in the bus.
Yeah.
That's gonna be impossible.
Yeah, so, our parents were worried about that, so, my field trips are not as many possible.
Mm-hmm. Just a classroom.
Yeah, although on the bus at this point, we are still opening windows and opening the hatches so there's air circulation through the bus.
Any other questions? You have a motion on this?
I make a motion to approve the new COVID mitigation changes.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Approve the NBAC rates for 2022-2023.
Okay, so we have not increased our rates for ever, since we started doing NBAC. And with the cost of employment going up and other costs, food costs going up, we're gonna need to bump them up a little bit to keep pace. We're still gonna be under what, other places charge, even under the park district still. And it's far more convenient for parents, so I think that's a good thing, but we need to keep within sight of the market so that we don't have all of a sudden a huge increase, and we don't wanna be subsidizing this with our general fund. So we wanna at least cover the costs, so the direct costs, and then any extra cost goes toward things like, lighting and supervision and heat and because it costs to have that space utilized, so we can offset some of those other costs as well, which helps the district.
Is there like a discount where you give multiple students?
Nope.
No?
There's still a discount after the full week, right? Or no?
Right, that's a good point. So the question was if we charge for a full week. We don't charge by the week, and other places will charge by the week because they have to staff it that way. We charge by the day, so if you show up, you pay. If you're not there, you don't pay. So we only charge for people that are actually there when you actually use it, which is very convenient.
Yeah, very
for parents.
flexible.
Very flexible. It's a great program and a great service for our parents, so I'm happy that we could do this. Just wanna make sure that we're covering our costs for it.
And at this point, we're close to breaking even this year so far through like the end of February. So we know that with salary increases next year and then with the next minimum wage bump in January, that we will need to get a little bit more revenue.
Yep.
Honestly, I think it's a little low, but
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's not much of an increase at all. I mean, not bad.
I think I put in my report, there are two of them that are $1 increase, $1 a day. And I think there was one other one that had a change.
That was gonna be more painful. It's not bad at all.
No, we're trying to, it's a service we're providing for
Yeah,
parents.
it's nice when you can do that.
I mean, I'm not complaining, I'm just saying it seems a little low, and as long as we're breaking even though, I guess.
Yeah, and we'll edge up this year, maybe if we'll look at it again next year, edge it up again.
Yeah, having consistency in the staffing is really nice, you know, so pay,
Right.
because it means so much to the kids to have the same counselors, so yeah.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion on this?
I'll make a motion to approve the NBAC rates for the 2022-23 school year.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Gray,
Yes.
Mr. Lorenzen,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Petterini,
Yes.
Ms. Roberts,
Yes.
Ms. Boss,
Yes.
Mr. Coleman.
Yes.
District phone system. Looks like we made a choice, huh?
Been a long time coming.
We hope. All right, so we would like to go with Rival 5 Technologies and see what happens.
That's a good pitch.
Sounds promising.
For $224,000, I would hope you're a little bit more confident.
You know,
And we have had test phones here that we've been playing with,
yeah,
and it seems to work fine.
we have
Never seen
spent
any
hours
issues.
and hours of research. I don't want to be too flippant about it, especially Dr. Johns, but it's phone systems. It's not an area of expertise for me, and so you have to rely on other people. It's going well for other districts who have used them, and so I'm not worried about it. What I want to make sure is that we're not spending more than we need on phones, because I'd rather spend it on other things, student experiences and teacher instruction and all that more valuable fun stuff. But phones are a necessity, and so we have to spend the money. We have to upgrade our network. It's just, we're way past due. What I like about this option is we're in, is this a 3-year contract or a 5? This is a 5-year contract, so we're only in it for 5 years versus, our phone systems we've had. The youngest phone system, which is at middle school, is we've had for 17 years now, 18 years. That's our youngest phone system, and phone systems are designed to go about 8 years now before they.
And when you go with a cloud-based phone system, you're basically, they're gonna continue to upgrade the equipment that currently we house inside our buildings. So the actual phone system itself is housed, somewhere else,
Right.
off-site. And I believe that Rival 5 has 3 different locations. And the main one is in Chicago. But if something would happen and that center would go down, then there's 2 other places that our calls can come from. Even if our internet goes down here, we'll still be able to access voicemail and other things as well.
Are
And
there
there's
any
also,
survivable aspects to it? Is there any line, direct from the phone company that will?
we currently have our fax number. Fax
Okay.
phone is a copper line.
Okay.
We
and
can
that
plug
will
an
be
emergency
retained.
phone into that so we can make calls out.
Okay.
Unless we lose cell service at the same time, there's an app that you can use on the phone so you can access voicemail as well as calling out from your cell phone as well. And then we're also looking at the possibility of getting a secondary line coming into the building so that if one line went down, we'd have another line for phone service only. And I know typically they said a lot of districts have done that with the DSL line, which is kind of that first step up from when we used to have dial-up only for internet. So I'm pretty comfortable that, it should go pretty seamlessly.
Yeah, it's actually pretty slick what they can do now.
What happens after the 5 years? Obviously,
Well, then you can renew
we
as well.
renew, but are we gonna get a new system? Like, what is that?
Basically, at the end of the 5 years, unless we're having problems with our phones, we would just continue with a new, we wouldn't have any additional startup costs.
Okay.
I mean, both of the phone systems that we have currently, when a phone breaks, then we just replace the phone.
Right.
But the nice thing is we don't have to worry about replacing the phone system in 5 years. You're paying a monthly fee to access their phone system that they're constantly upgrading. And if after 5 years we decide that we want to go with somebody different, then we can do that. And sometimes you can use the existing phones, other times you might need to get new phones. But basically this will get you through 5 years without hopefully any major concerns. The only thing that's not included in that is we'll probably order 5 or 10 attic stock phones to have, so if one breaks, we have another one to replace it right away, as opposed to having to wait to order one to get it in for somebody to have a phone in their room.
I'd like to make a motion to approve item 6E, the district phone system replacement with Rival 5 Technologies Corporation at an estimated 5-year cost of $224,000.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Mr. Lorenzen,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Pederini,
Yes.
Ms. Roberts,
Yes.
Ms. Boss,
Yes.
Mr. Coleman,
Present.
Mr. Gray.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
All right, the motion passes. Approve proposal of school board meeting dates for 2022-2023 school year.
So I know I'm gonna be out the July 11th one. I don't know if anyone else said they were gonna be out, or if we short of a quorum, but I know I'll be out.
I'm sorry, when does winter break actually start?
It's like the 22nd, 23rd.
Okay, so it's that Thursday, okay, that Thursday, Friday, I see, okay.
Well, if we need to redo the one in March, we can redo the one in March.
Oh, good.
If anybody has any questions, otherwise, can we have a motion?
I move to approve the proposed school board meeting dates for the 2022-2023 school year.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Approval of summer school proposal.
Okay, the only thing I changed from last time we talked about this was the amount we're charging parents. So with, because we're using grant money, we wanna make sure that we're, not charging that tuition charge. So this would be for, just a basic registration fee for supplies and miscellaneous items,
Copying, duplication, those kinds of things.
copies, yeah, right. Because the tuition we're paying through the ARP, American Recovery Plan, ESSER's 3 money for the teachers.
And Title I.
And Title I, yes.
Any questions? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve item 6G, summer school, proposal.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Federici,
Yes.
Ms. Roberts,
Yes.
Ms. Boss,
Yes.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Gray,
Yes.
Mr. Lorenzen.
Yes.
Motion passes. Consent agenda. Does anyone have anything they'd like to pull out or ask questions on?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as stated.
Second?
Roll call, please.
We don't need that.
We do, because there's a treasury report.
Yeah, bills payable. Mr. Federici,
Yes.
Ms. Roberts,
Yes.
Ms. Boss,
Yes.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Gray,
Yes.
Mr. Lorenzen,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy.
Yes.
And who made that motion?
Okay, I did probably.
Yeah, Steven
Who seconded?
Boss.
Second?
Oh, no.
Sean.
Sean. Thank you.
Information and discussion. FOIA request.
So we got a FOIA request, from ABC 7 Chicago.
ABC. That's what it says.
That's what it says.
Oh, I thought you said NBC.
I don't know. I thought I said ABC, but
I heard what I wanted to hear, I guess.
it could be that, I don't know.
Anyway, go on.
So we answered, we have to, every FOIA request we have to put on our court agenda, so there it is. And we provided an answer for that one that was one of the easier ones to say, no, we have not had any challenges to any specific book titles.
We don't have the right books.
And we just have a well-informed public who believes reading is important. Future agenda items, board policy for review, plus the other 3 that have been put on there. Does anybody else have anything? Superintendent's report.
I have nothing to report today.
Okay.
Since we met a week ago. So, everything we talked about was on the agenda, so we're all good.
Business office.
Just a second, I gotta get back to my screen. Okay. Well, the first 3 items we've already talked about. Just wanted to give you an update on, now we have another meeting to finalize the rates for the health, dental, and vision insurance on the 24th, so that's, I believe, Thursday. But the initial rates that came in, Blue Cross Blue Shield HMO, an 8.4% increase. The Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO, either 12.8 or 17.5, depending on what number you use for medical trend. And there was some back and forth between our broker GCG and Blue Cross Blue Shield. GCG thought Blue Cross's number was too low. And so there's a range right there. We are gonna go back. We also looked at some claim changes we could make that will reduce that somewhat. Right now, for budgeting purposes, I'm kind of estimating about a 14% for Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO. If we make the plan change, and that would be if we make some plan changes. The HMO, I believe, we got some preliminary numbers back with a couple plan changes. It would create a higher charge for going to a specialist than to just a regular doctor, and I believe it increased the out-of-pocket maximum. We're looking at maybe a 6.5% increase for HMO. Delta Dental HMO, no increase. The Delta Dental PPO, 2.5%. No increase to vision. We still have 1 year left on a multi-year rate guarantee for life insurance, and the disability, we're waiting on something back from them, but that'll be a fixed number, and it's a fairly small number. Although we have had some use of that disability plan over the last several years, so I don't know if we'll see how big an increase we'll see in that.
Questions, sir? Thank you, Dr. Jones.
Oh, I put on the next page those issues. That was it, for the items.
Yeah.
So hopefully if I said them wrong, you can read them on the page and see what they should be.
Board reports. The handy dandy sheet for school board visits.
Yes, John is going Wednesday, right?
Wednesday, yes.
To the middle school, so
Middle
just,
school.
this is a reminder that you are welcome to come and visit our schools. We'll just set that up with the principals, and they'd be happy to show you around.
I'm getting a tour.
Did you get lunch too?
No, I'm going at 9 a.m.
Oh,
Yeah, you can bring lunch.
I think he was asking about hot lunch.
Principal will take it.
So we have a clear board policy about if we get hot lunch when we come in.
We do not have a clear policy.
Can we
If you'd like to buy one, you're welcome.
I think you have to buy it.
I'm joking.
That's right.
And I don't know if we ever got set up where people would buy it this year since it's free for kids.
It's free for kids.
Although we do have to wait.
Pizza day?
Subsidized. All right, we look forward to your report next time.
All right.
Make a motion to adjourn to closed session for the purpose of collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees.
Second?
Roll call.
Let's see. Ms. Roberts. Ms. Boss.
Yes.
Mr. Coleman.
Yes.
Mr. Gray.
Yep.
Mr. Lorenzen.
Yes.
Mr. Murphy.
Yes.
Mr. Petterini.
Yes.
We are adjourned. When we come back, we're just gonna close the meeting, so you don't have to stick around.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Take a break now if you want to.
Yeah.
Just muscle through it.